as you all know me, I've been on all day today, so this is your TV. And I feel like with Walter, I need to like do some animation. I'm bringing to my dear Walter Zaback. And I'm so honored to have you here today. We met close to 8 years ago. And little did I think back then that I would be in New York interviewing you, having this amazing event coming up called Excel to Excellence. And yes, so here we are. Who knows where we'll be in the next 10 years. So I met you, Walter, at an Artist Way workshop that we were doing. It was in sync very much with sort of what we're talking about today, tapping into our power of intuition in excelling to excellence and how to really listen to that voice. And I remember you telling me back then, I feel like I was such a little girl. I was in my early 30s and so naive and just, in this space of like, what's going to happen? And so fearful. I feel like I was very fearful about life and not trusting in that journey. And now it's almost like, well, life doesn't have to be amazing all the time. It's difficult. Yet there's this space that I trust myself and the universe and God and the flow and the people in my life as well. I've had the honor of working with you many times and having you in my life. I'm honored to have you at our Excel to Excellence event. You have about 20 certifications. You have really excelled in your credentials. And so honored to have you. So if you can share a little bit about yourself and about what you're going to be teaching at the Excel to Excellence event, that would be amazing.
Okay. First, thank you for putting this together. It's awesome. It feels to me like it's going to be really a valuable event for everybody that comes, and I really appreciate how much work you're putting into it. I see that you're working your buns off, and I'm impressed, and I'm touched, and I'm really grateful. Thank you.
Thank you for saying that.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
I even didn't go to the gym this morning. I haven't missed a day at the gym.
Right on.
Because I had to prepare. And yes, thanks you for acknowledging that.
And I'm glad you just brought up the fact that you were in a frightened place when we met. That is, in my observation of things, a lot of people see their intuition, see the psychic world as a frightening place. I definitely did. And one of the things that has really influenced me is the message that I see in the books that I read, which include Abraham Hicks, Wayne Dyer, Deepak Chopra, Conversations with God. They are all emphasizing that we are supposed to have fun, and that life is about loving and to not take it too seriously. One of my favorite quotes is from a guy, an American poet named Albert Hubbard, who said this way back in the 1800s, don't take life too seriously. You'll never get out of it alive. Wow. And to me, that's funny, but it's also pretty heavy, because to me, it's saying, okay, we're all going to die, and if we're going to have fun, it really needs to be now. Now is all we have. And then that too is something that's emphasized not only in spiritual books, New Age books, but these days in quantum physics. And that leads me to what something that really has influenced me and is important in my life, and that is intuition. Your psychic ability is something that we all have, and it's something that we should listen to, and something that we should see as practical and not a separate part of ourselves. And that's what I'm going to be talking about at the event. And I'm going to be offering a program, which I'm still in the process of finalizing, putting it together, but a program to show you how to listen to your own intuition. These days, not only do we have the writings of the ancients, which in both the Buddhist tradition and the Hindu tradition says that we are the universe, and in my perception of things, quantum physics has proven that. Even Einstein, who is the one who first discovered that light beams were particles, physical particles, when you're looking for them to be physical particles, and then they're only energy and frequencies when they are not physical particles. And these days we are accepting more and more that, okay, yeah, everything's energy, because quantum physics has become relatively common knowledge. And yet when Einstein discovered that, that was an impossibility. Something cannot be both a physical presence and entity, a physical thing, and energy at the same time. And when it's energy, it doesn't have any location. There's no place. It's just a frequency, and it's everywhere. And Einstein said quite some time ago, the only real valuable thing is intuition, and I'm quoting from him now. The intellect has little to do on the road to discovery. There comes a leap in consciousness, call it intuition or what you will. The solution comes to you, and you don't know how or why. That's listening to your intuition. And he wrote about it, that sometimes he would think, and then when he finally relaxed, then the idea came to him. Max Planck, who is also a famous physicist, he's attributed with discovering quantum particles in the atom. And the movie The Matrix, the movies The Matrix, are based on his discovery and his perspective on life. And that is, I'm quoting again, all matter originates and exists only by virtue of a force. We must assume behind this force the existence of a conscious and intelligent mind with a capital M. This mind with a capital M is the matrix of all matter. Right? And the way I understand that is he's saying that all physical matter comes from a place of frequency, a place of thought, a place of intelligence. Arthur C. Clarke, famous science fiction writer, he said, two possibilities exist. Either we are alone in the universe or we are not. Both are equally terrifying. And he was primarily, I think, talking about aliens, physical aliens, right? But in my perception of things, and I believe that's what Einstein is talking about, is that there are energies and entities that are not physical that also exist in this universe. And we are definitely not alone. And for a lot of people, that's terrifying. For me, it was terrifying most of my life. And that's really one of the things that I want to teach people, that I've been teaching people for 15 years doing this work professionally full-time. And that is, listen, we should not be afraid of the information that we get. And we're getting information constantly. Here's why I was afraid, and this is actually a relatively common story, not in terms of the details that happened to me, but it's pretty common that people become afraid of their psychic ability because they associate it with their childhood. And sadly, my experience is that actually most of us have pretty difficult childhoods. In my case, I was sent to an orphanage at 6 years old, and I retained my psychic ability, and in fact, I had repetitive visions of a girl who ended up in a really horrible truck accident. Her body was mangled, and I experienced all of this with her multiple times. I watched her before the accident. I saw the accident happen. I watched her floating at the top of the truck cab, looking down at her own body. I watched her in surgery, being defibrillated, and suddenly she was here next to me asking, "Who's the girl on the operating table?" And I had to tell her, "It's you." And then we went off to the white light. I actually went with her to the world beyond, which, when I start to talk about it, I choke up because it's indescribable. And if you've ever read anything about a near-death experience, this is what it is. Dr. Raymond Moody, who is one of the primary researchers or original researchers on near-death experiences, has recently classified this as a shared near-death experience, where you go on somebody else's near-death experience and share it with them. And that's what I did. And this world was just indescribably beautiful colors that were everything that I had ever seen in physical life. Buildings and trees and lakes and sky and clouds. Everything was just amazingly radiant and beautiful beyond description. And here's the coolest thing is everything physical, the air itself. I was flying with her in this world, but the air itself was, and everything that I saw was not only reaching out to me with love, but encompassing me and going through me with love. I felt love like I had never understood it or felt it before. It was just indescribably. Like I've heard people say that if you really knew what that world was like, you would swoon and die right now because it is so beautiful and irresistible. And then there was another girl that I also had repetitive visions and dreams about, and that was in the psychic world, and it scared me because I equated those experiences with what was going on with me in the physical world, which was being in an orphanage and having been abandoned. And so really for the rest of my life, I put that in a place where it was scary and I really didn't want to deal with it. And especially because I felt like, well, let me get to the place that really scared me, and that is when I was 44, I met that girl who had the accident in real life, and we fell in love, and after about 6 weeks, she told me, I have to admit something to you, I had a really bad accident, and she started to describe the accident, and I finished the story for her. It was the accident that I had been seeing over and over and over, and I told her 5 things that I knew from those visions that she had never told another soul. Never. One of those things was floating above her body in the truck cabin, floating above her body in the operating room, going to the white light and experiencing that world, and then something that happened with her mother later on after the bandages came off of her face. And then that is what caused me to realize that, dude, I need some help. I need some therapy, right? And I found a therapist who actually also happened to be a psychic, and she helped me with this. But my first impression was, oh my God, that means like everything is predestined and I don't have any control. And, having been sent to an orphanage, losing control is one of the freakiest things in my life. So, but what I did discover through therapy was the fact that my higher self created this person to become a companion for me. It was the only person that I was able to take with me from home to the orphanage, and she became my constant companion for years, a lot of years. And then if that wasn't enough, about 3 or 4 months later, I met another one who had been a constant companion in my childhood, and I was able to tell her things that she had never told another living soul based on the experiences that I had. And here's the freaky thing. Those visions were happening 15 years before these girls were even born. These ladies were even born. And so to me, that proved that not only are we psychic and have experiences that literally are realistic, but also we do travel through time. The time does not actually exist. Just like Einstein said a long time ago, over 100 years ago, time does not exist. And one of the things that Einstein discovered is the formula that we all know: E equals mc squared. Energy equals mass times c equals the constant, which is the speed of light, which is 186,000 miles per second, times 186,000 miles per second. That's what it is squared, right? And so what he's literally saying is energy is mass times this amazing speed, 186,000 times itself. And what we've gotten out of that is, first of all, that everything is energy, mass equals energy, and that there is no time. And in the over 100 years since Einstein said this, it's been proven experimentally over and over by other physicists. There really is no time. And then, like I said, we've come to accept that everything is energy, and that means that if everything is energy, everything is just frequencies, waves, energy, right? And there is a new theory of existence that, to me, proves the fact that we are in counterintuitive. It is called the holographic theory. It was first proposed by a man named David Bohm, who was protege of Einstein's and also a brain researcher. The physicists realized if everything is a frequency, when frequencies meet on the same plane, they establish what's called a wave interference pattern, which distributes itself equally throughout the area where they meet. And this is getting a little complicated, but I'll make it simple. In a hologram, if you take any one little section of the hologram, you have all the information of the whole. And holograms are something that have existed for quite some time. We are able to create them, and even in a piece of holographic film, if you cut it in half and shine a laser light through it, you still get the whole image on the other side as a hologram. And what Bohm discovers is that our universe, if everything is a frequency, our universe is a massive wave interference pattern, which then distributes itself equally throughout where the area where these frequencies meet, and they establish a single pattern where you go into any portion of that pattern, and the entirety, the information of the whole, which is the universe, is available at any given spot. That means that at any given spot, we are able to tune into all of the information of the universe because we are a part of that hologram. And to me, what that literally says is that quantum physics, has proven that psychic ability exists, that intuition exists. And then if that's not enough, there's a famous brain researcher, psychiatrist and brain researcher named Carl Pribram, who is now deceased, but for decades he studied brains and realized that brains operate holographically. That people who, for instance, lost half their brain didn't lose ultimately the function of the various parts of the body that half of the brain that's missing covered. They were eventually able to move every part of their body and have complete memories because the information of the whole distributed itself throughout the half of the physical brain that was left. And so they became whole again. Right? And so my point is, we are all truly psychic. And then if that's not enough, that's science, right? But if we go to just spirituality, what I have discovered, this is my perception of things, pretty much every major religion on the planet, if you look it up, has two principles, and then almost every tribal religion on the planet has these two principles. Number one, some form of the fact that we were created in the image and likeness of the Creator, which means that we are creators. It means that we are literally a CD-ROM copy. We are exactly like the Creator. We're not somewhat like it, we are exactly like it, image and likeness. And then that this Creator gave us absolute free will. And to go to if we are a CD-ROM copy, if we are exactly like the Creator, if we are creators, then the Creator, we know, is all-powerful, all-knowing, all-wise, and if we are exactly like the Creator, we also are all-powerful, all-knowing, all-wise, and all kinds of other attributes. And if we are all-knowing, all-wise, isn't that being psychic? Isn't that your intuition, right? And so that's what I try to teach people, is tune into who we truly are, both in a scientific sense as well as in a spiritual sense. We are psychic. Everybody on the planet is psychic. And if you allow yourself to open to it, you get expert guidance from your higher self, from your angel guides, and even from your departed loved ones who are trying to give you messages constantly. Your higher self is constantly giving you messages, and your angel giving you messages, and your angel guides, and your departed loved ones. And you were just going to say something.
Yeah, so, first of all, I had no idea that you're so intelligent.
Thank you. I have to laugh about that. Maybe I don't believe
studying biology and chemistry because he's studying for dental school. And I don't remember what happened in high school. That was like the part of
yeah.
Like, I just don't remember, and then that's it. So I don't have any recollection of chemistry or any of that. So I that because I know that there are definitely people that need to know the science of things. So thank you for actually describing it, because again, I feel so many times in the work that I do as well in healing and homeopathy that, people want to understand that homeopathy in of itself is a science, and it is nanotechnology. And with homeopathy is also frequency, in the sense that, somebody was asking me today, well, how's your homeopathic remedy different than a vaccine, or how's it different than vitamin? And I have a hard time explaining the science of it. I just do understand that it carries the memory of the actual molecules, and like cures like. So, I feel with what you're sharing, both on a scientific level and spiritual level, there's such a sense of just knowing and trusting that it's safe to go there. And I think that people are okay, this door just opened up, right? And we're now in the age of Aquarius, and with the age of Aquarius, there's this new, what worked in the age of Pisces is no longer happening. We're in the age of Aquarius, and it's all about stepping really into our psychic ability and our psychic power. And I also love what you said about, I feel, especially in religion, because there's this sense of you're not supposed to know your future. And never in the work that we did was it that this is your destiny, and your destiny is locked up and you have no free will. It's not like that. And it's very much in this, it's different. And I think that's why people get scared with the work that I've done with you. It's really this feeling of stepping into that safe place of feeling loved, of knowing what you're here on this planet for, and then having fun. And I feel that what that's, again, there's so much people are just scared, and I want them to feel and listening to that there shouldn't be any fear in them, whether it's working with you or listening to you, or whether it's listening to that own inner voice. The other day, I was working with Mary, and I think you'll meet her at the event, and we were doing a session together, and I was stuck at something, and she said, why don't you just ask God, your inner power, your higher power, what you're supposed to do? And literally I heard the answer, and I go, no, that can't be the answer. She goes, no, what if it is? I want you to act on it. So we got off the phone, and I acted on it, and boy, that was it. Nice. And it was just, I think that's the difference of what shifted in me in the past decade, is that I've just allowed myself to go into the fears and have fun, and the not knowing, yet the trust, the ultimate trust that I'm guided and I'm supported, I'm not alone, and I'm not, I have my guides. Actually, my grandfather and I are very connected, so I feel him with me all the time. And I would like to step into, because I know that there is more, and that we do have more, right? Even in Judaism, there's this sense of you have an angel, there are angels with you all day. And so again, I think because people go into fear, they don't access it. Yet to be able, I have a friend, she hangs out with her angels all day. She's not able to come to the event. She literally I'll call her and she'll be cracking up. I'm like, what happened? She's like, oh, I was just hanging out with my angels. And she's such an elevated, lovely soul. And she lives life with this open heart and this fearlessness, and life is in flow. And talking about excelling into excellence, what I want to share and end off with on my end is that the reason I'm having this event, Excel into Excellence, is because number one, I want to bring together the people in my life that have supported me. So sort of it's the year that I turned 40. It's my celebration of my coming to my 40th year, and I wanted to celebrate. I wanted to originally do the event around my birthday, but I couldn't. So bringing together my beloved people, and you're one of them, so I'm so happy to have you there to connect, because I truly believe in connection, and to really share with everyone that I love my secrets. And one of them is, the work I've done with you, and the work you share with the world. And it's such a big gift, and there's so much more, right? And so what are you going to be sharing at the event, and how can the listeners get in touch with you if they're not able to come to the event, Walter?
My website, psychicwalter.com. Easy to remember. Psychicwalter.com. And all the information information about me and my philosophy is there, and then how to make an appointment. First-time clients get a 25% discount. And then at the event, I am, like I said, in the stages of putting together a package, and I'll be offering a really attractive package at a big discount for the people who are at the event. And I'll be announcing that at the event, not before.
I'm very excited. One of the things I shared with you is that I want to utter this because it's with every speaker and with every coach that's coming to the event. It's a sense of when someone's an expert in something, right? So if I'm getting on my venture of, accessing my intuition, we go into a place of doubt. The same with, I interviewed Danielle before. So she's a YouTube expert. So I love having the expertise, the renowned expertise, and working with them and encouraging people to work with the experts, because what happens is, especially in those first few months or first year, when it's so good to have a mentor, to have a coach that excels in that, because there's, so you could teach something for an hour and then, somebody will be like, oh, well, but I don't know if I'm doing it right. So I'm so excited to see what you're going to be offering. And I know we're going to chat about it because my excellence is in helping creating packages. So I look forward to doing that.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for your time. And I look forward to seeing you in 3 weeks. And I tagged you so you can share this with your friends and loved ones, and wish you a beautiful day.
Thank you. I wish you a great day. Thank you, Tanya. Take care.
Okay.